Okay, we have Q&A going. Let's
We do.
get the questions going. Excellent movie.
So they didn't announce this before, folks, but we had to do a silly TV thing, so I don't think they announced it.
There, you got it.
Sorry, shall I take this off?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Jesus.
It's on now.
Whoa. Yeah, I'm just apologising because it wasn't announced that we were doing a Q&A. We were doing a silly TV interview or something. Anyway, and we didn't get to watch the film with you, so I don't know if you've thrown things at the screen or you've abused those. I have no idea. Anyway, we're having a Q&A. If you want to stay, please come and hurl abuse at us or whatever you're going to do. My name is Matthew Bate. I'm the director of the film. Bryan Mason, who is and a producer, actually, I forgot to say. Thanks. And Bryan Mason, who is a co-producer, DOP, what else did you do? And you shot it.
And edited it.
And edited it.
Yeah, that's all right.
So yeah, if you have any questions, please, let's...
Fire away.
I'm curious, you made it out of Australia? Is that because the US rights were so messed up?
No, we still had to pay for everything. There was no... you don't get it for free just because you're Australian. Did that answer your question?
No. I mean, Matt came across the story and just got captivated with the recordings, and you know, has made lots of short documentaries and other films previously to this, and got in touch with Eddie, and you know, because Ed and Mitch are the copyright holders of the material, and kind of started the discussion. And we filmed, you know, as you can tell, most of the film here. We did fly Mitch and Eddie to Australia to do the interviews, and the recreation stuff happened back in Australia as well, but most of the film was shot here in the States.
I was curious, a couple of times you started to kind of delve into the idea that like now things would go viral, whereas back then someone would record something on like a tape and then send it to their friend through the mail,
Yeah.
and it still became quote unquote viral, but you didn't really get into like, you know, like what would happen to, I mean, would it circulate mad crazy today because it's on the internet, or are we losing a phenomenon because everything is viral if you want it to be? And I guess I'm just curious why you didn't delve into that deeper, or you know, what are your thoughts about, you know, what would happen, or you know, how that would happen today?
So the question is, if Shut Up Man took place today, would it go viral?
Go viral, like, you know, overnight rather than...
Overnight, right? Yeah, no, that's a question that gets asked a lot. I think it would be like any viral thing, which usually we hear about it, we Google it, we get on YouTube, we watch Christian Bale freak out on set, and it's 2 minutes long, and then tomorrow we forget it. But it gets 20 million hits, and you know, and that's it. But Shut Up Man, because it was distributed, it went viral, but in the analog era, via tape, you would post it to someone. You would read a zine and you would hear it by word of mouth. It was a slower process. But also I think the material, because it's 14 hours of stuff, I think it goes deeper and asks more questions than Christian Bale freaking out on set, which is why I hope it sustained a feature film. We have studied it because we've listened to all 14 hours relentlessly. It's ridiculous. For us, it gets more meaningful as it goes on. It gets funnier, actually, as it goes on. It gets more tragic as it goes on. And that precipice that you walk, which is what makes it a sort of dangerous piece of art, if you want to call it art, that's why it's so compelling, I think.
Do you think that would happen today? I mean, do you think that there's anything that could have that sustainable presence of...
It's an interesting one. I mean, because I guess today it wouldn't be just audio, right? Like, because everyone's got a video camera in their pocket on their phone, so it probably would have been video, and I'm imagining if something like this happened today, the participants would get wind of it much quicker. So, like, even though Pete and Ray kind of knew that they were being recorded in instances, they were so drunk all the time, they were kind of half cognizant of it. It was sort of it's interesting when we were filming. We were in San Francisco in 2009,
Oh, yeah.
and the Epic Weird Man. You know that? Is it Epic Beard Man?
Weird man.
I don't know. You know the guy that got into a fight on the bus? Did you guys hear about that? But anyway, it was big news in San Francisco at the time, and he became like a similar kind of level of celebrity. But of course, because the spotlight, the media spotlight, happened so much quicker with the internet. It was, it's the whole process is accelerated. So it's a good question. Would it have happened now? I don't know. I don't know if people could be that oblivious to the rest of the world, kind of keying into their thing. Like yeah.
It was interesting. Thank you.
Yeah.
I have a question about, it looked like in the movie that Eddie Lee at least is making money now
Yeah.
as a result of that. What about his partner? Is he making any money?
Well, Eddie runs the website, and he's the sort of shepherd of Shut Up Man, if you like. Mitch sort of lives in the Midwest and is an insurance salesman now and has 3.5 kids. And I think they have some sort of partnership where Mitch gets a bit of the profits, but Eddie really gets most of it, I think. And he sells, when it's on radio, it comes in spurts in America. I think on certain radio stations they'll hype it up for a while, and then he'll sell a lot of CDs and, sell a death certificate. So yeah, they're making money from it, absolutely.
I don't think it's a great deal. I don't think it's a great deal of money,
No.
though. I don't. We'd be talking over the lifetime of Shut Up Little Man as an estimate. I'd say we'd be looking at tens of thousands, hundreds, maybe. I doubt it. I don't know. It's pretty underground. It's
Does
pretty.
he work? Does Eddie Lee also work?
He's a rare book dealer. A rare and second-hand book dealer.
In the movie, it talks about how they tried to do 3 different film projects on this, and they all fell through. I don't know. How did you eventually succeed in getting it done? What changed that?
Our film?
This happened?
So the question is, how did we get our film made?
Yeah. How did you succeed in getting a film made about it? And
Right.
the others failed?
The others failed because I think it's almost unfilmable. Even though we have recreations in the film, we tried to use them sparingly, and a lot of stuff's out of focus. At one point, when I was in the early gestation period, how do I bring it to life? Do I have actors come on and kind of... That would be terrible, I think.
Well, which you got to see a little bit of the Shut Your Dirty Little Mouth film, which was... one interesting distinction between this film and the other films that were trying to be made at the time, I think, is the other films, all of them were just trying to tell the Pete and Ray story. So it was like, here's Pete, here's Ray, they're having arguments. And Matt, when he first told me about the project and wanted to... His whole pitch on it was, there are these 2 guys, and they moved from Wisconsin to San Francisco, and they moved in next door to these 2 lunatics. And it was sort of just really clearly for us, we were like, well, that's the story. That's how you tell this story. It's not, you're just in the apartment with these 2 drunk guys. How long is that going to sustain for? It's kind of interesting for a while, but the kind of phenomenon of it and what happened to it for us was kind of more interesting, and that's the tack we took with the film, as opposed to just kind of taking the dialogue and then trying to make a fiction film, which is, based on the sort of, the fires.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were all trying to make a Beckett play. That's what they were trying to do, and they weren't Samuel Beckett. He's a genius. But just to quickly answer your other part of the question, the government gives us Australians money to make films. That's the pragmatic money side of things. We're sort of, all arts in Australia is sort of government funded.
To a certain level.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we went through this film lab. It was called the Film Lab, and it was for first-time feature filmmakers. And Matt had a lot of success with short films he'd made, and so he put his hand up and said, I'd really like to make this Shut Up Little Man film. And then the guys who were kind of running the program kind of loved the idea, and we developed it up in there, or Matt did mainly. And it was ultra low budget, but they gave us enough money to make the film. So, and we chuffed that it got into Sundance. So here we are.
Is there a question?
Do one more question, and then we'll have to...
Really? We came all this way.
Great film, by the way.
Thank you.
Great job. I just have a question. I just want to get your take on the moral feedback loop that this
Yeah.
film creates. I worked in a record store in the early 90s. I was one of the first buyers that bought this stuff.
Really?
Before Matador. It's easy to judge Peter and Raymond. They have this relationship. Then you get in this judgment of the voyeuristic neighbors. Then you get in the judgment in your film with the producers that are crying and everybody trying to get a piece of this.
And then we come along.
You guys are thinking, we paid money because I knew Raymond and Peter. I told my family, I got 6 of us in here,
Right.
and we're going to tell people. And it's just this.
Yeah.
It just continues through the whole process. I just want to get your take on it.
It's a weird thing, man. It is, isn't it? And now we're another spoke in the wheel. That's, as you say, it's like we are now,
We are too.
maybe we're another vulture circling the carcasses of Peter. Right? The final scene of the film, which I wish was a bit louder, was my kind of like, thank you, Peter and Raymond, rest in peace kind of thing. Like, I mean, they're going to be dancing in eternal heaven or hell for the, because we're all going to be listening to it for, and my film is going to maybe
Be seen by people.
be seen by people, as you said. They're in my pocket. They're in my pocket. I've some dodgy merchandise if anyone wants one after this. Terrible little, look at that. We're merchandising. See, we're part of the whole thing now. We're hypocrites.
Come on.
No, I'm joking. Hopefully we ask some questions about what art can be. Yeah.
And it's also, I mean, the real kind of, it's sort of like that last comment says in the film, it's 20 plus years after this happened, and somehow the fights, the kind of death grip those guys are locked in that apartment fighting with each other is still compelling, it's still interesting, it's still hilarious, it's still sad, it's still all the things it is. And that really is why Sharp Little Man started in 1987 and still has a life today, because it's rare that you get a glimpse into that world, into someone's private world. I mean, yeah, they knew they were recording. I mean, there was a point that Mitch and Eddie they were so pissed off with these guys, as was pretty much everyone who lived in the Pepto-Bismol Palace, like, because, it was hardly private conversations. They got their speakers and they put them out on the landing, and they played Pete and Ray back to Pete and Ray, and cranked the volume up. And kind of Pete and Ray's response was, "Oh, you sound like an idiot. You sound like an asshole. You sound like a bigger asshole." Like, it's like they started fighting about who sounded like a bigger asshole on the recording. So it's like they sort of knew they were being recorded, but the material was great. So I think that answers the question of why it's still alive.
Yeah, but you've got to answer yourself. Why do you? You know what I mean? It's like.
Well, that's why I commented. I'm really glad that you didn't just focus on. You really focus on how people, the relationships between the producers, the friends that, like, I'm really glad that you brought all that element into it.
Yeah.
Kind of expose, shine a light on everybody just a little bit.
Yeah, including me and you guys. Maybe you laughed in the first 25 minutes, and then as the film twisted a bit, maybe you go, oh, maybe I should have. I mean, where's my place in this? I don't know. Which is good. I mean, it's a sort of question, and more so than ever now, where we are able to kind of videotape each other falling on our asses and doing silly things, and then upload it tomorrow morning, and the whole world sees it. It's kind of like it's sort of like a question of, why do we want to see this stuff? Why do we find it compelling? We're voyeuristic people, aren't we? It's interesting. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you. And if you want to